This is the afternoon of the 7th of August, 2024. Article on Town Hall written by Matt Vespa, VESPA, published on the 5th of August. Title, Latest Development in Biden Cocaine Gate Fiasco Raises New Questions About the Secret Service. Remember when they told us they couldn't identify who had it or where it came from? You don't think it had DNA all over those baggies? Former Secret Service Kimberly Cheatle isn't out of the woods yet. She tried to sneak out of the dead of night after a symbolic congressional appearance following the assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th. Cheatle at the time remained defiant that she was the best to lead the agency despite this catastrophic failure in protecting the former president. You know what's interesting as well? Apparently the internet and cell phone communication went down just before the attempted assassination. I wonder how often that happens, that both of them go down simultaneously. That's easy enough to find out, but they're not going to look into it, are they? Cheatle resigned. The lingering question, specifically that of a cover-up, lingered. Before she bolted on July 23rd, Cheatle had been named as the official who allegedly wanted to destroy the cocaine that was found near the Situation Room of the West Wing. Another embarrassing incident to befall the Biden White House. To make matters worse, the Secret Service concluded they couldn't identify whose cocaine it was, which is factually untrue. The White House is supposedly the most secure official residence in the world. The surveillance infrastructure here couldn't identify anything? Susan Crabtree at Real Clear Politics penned a lengthy article about the cocaine gate, rehashed why it couldn't be hidden from the media and the Secret Service haphazard investigation that was meant to avoid getting the truth. Former Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle and others in top agency leadership positions wanted to destroy the cocaine discovered in the White House last summer. But the Secret Service Forensic Service Division and the Uniform Division stood firm and rejected to push to dispose of the evidence, according to three sources in the Secret Service community. Multiple heated confrontations and disagreements over how best to handle the cocaine ensued after the Secret Service Uniform Division officer found the bag on July 2nd, 2023, a quiet Sunday while President Biden and his family were at Camp David in Maryland, the source said. At least one Uniform Division officer was initially assigned to investigate the cocaine incident, but after he told the supervisors, including Cheatle and acting Secret Service Director Ron Rowe, who was deputy director at the time, that he wanted to follow a certain crime scene investigation protocol, he was taken off the case, according to a source within the Secret Service community familiar with the circumstances of his removal. Secret Service spokesman Anthony Golinja did not immediately return RCP's request for comment. Hunter Biden had a well-documented addiction to cocaine, crack cocaine, and other substances for many years, but repeatedly claimed to be sober since 2021, an assertion that has prompted President Biden to often proclaim how proud he is of his son. While neither Joe or Hunter Biden were at the executive mansion when the cocaine was found, it was discovered after a period when Hunter Biden had been staying there. Normally, the discovery of cocaine or other illegal narcotics in the White House complex or in and around the First Family and her staff wouldn't come to light at all. That's because the President and the First Lady, as well as family members protecting Secret Service details, the innermost ring of protective agents assigned to the First Family, will simply dispose of illegal drugs or other contraband found in the White House, personal residence, or other private areas of the President, his family, and White House staff, according to three sources in the Secret Service community. But it wasn't a member of the President Biden's regular detail who found the bag of cocaine just 2 days before the July 4th holiday last year. Instead, a member of the agency's Uniform Division, which is charged with protecting the facilities and venues for presidents and other agency protectees discovered the substance in the White House complex while conducting routine rounds of the building. The officer who first found the bag with the white substance immediately flagged it as potentially hazardous substance, worried that the bag of white powder could contain deadly anthrax or ricin. A Technical Security Division, or TSD, investigator would normally be deployed to the scene. These investigators sometimes wear hazmat suits, can identify different types of hazardous substances and explosives, and work to quickly remove or defuse them. However, the TSD investigator was not called in on Sunday evening of a holiday weekend. Instead, a Secret Service officer or agent called the District of Columbia Fire and Emergency Medical Service Department, who evacuated the White House complex while they tested the white substance on site, determining it was cocaine. Because the press was part of the evacuation, there was no way to hide the information about the discovery, and the Secret Service leaders quickly shifted to crisis communication mode. Meanwhile, the substance and packaging were tested as evidence and sent to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security National Biodefense Analysis and Countermeasure Center, which again analyzed it for biothreats. The test came back negative for hazardous material. Secret Service leaders, under pressure from Cheatle and other top agency officials, chose not to run additional searches for DNA matches or conduct interviews with the hundreds of people who work in the White House complex. They absolutely should have run DNA matches. That's because they didn't want to know or even narrow down the field of who it could be, a source stated. It could have been Hunter Biden. It could have been a staffer. It could have been someone doing a tour. We'll never know. Giuliani added that the extensive interviews at the time, the figure was around 500 people, could strain agency resources and lead to civil liberty violation. As for the cocaine, Crabtree added that the point at which the Cheatle or her minions tried to coerce the Forensic Service Division to destroy the evidence, she added that Matt White, the vault supervisor, did receive a call from a high to get rid of the drugs, though protocols dictates that such evidence be retained for at least 7 years, according to sources who spoke to Crabtree. When it was determined that the cocaine would not be destroyed, Cheatle was repeatedly irate. Suppose Cheatle was willing to cover up the cocaine, what else was she willing to do, especially in an incident that places the agency in a terrible light, knowing she had the full backing of the Biden family? Cheatle and Jill are gals pals. Maybe a new president, Congress, and Secret Service director are needed to get to the bottom of how cocaine just happened to be found in a West Wing. So, what do you think, huh? And don't you find it interesting that, the whole thing's insane. Don't you find it, again, interesting that both the internet and cell phone connectivity was disrupted just prior to the shooting? That has to be investigated as well. How often does that happen, where they both go off simultaneously? I'll attach the link. Let me know what you think. Pass it along. And thanks for listening.